Welcome back, Sebastian here, and the big news coming out of F1 today is that Williams have decided to drop Logan Sargeant effective immediately, and they're actually replacing him with not Mick Schumacher, not Liam Lawson, but a guy who is kind of seen as a complete outsider and a guy who's not really connected to the seat at all in recent weeks, and that is Franco Colapinto. So Williams replacing a second-year driver with a complete rookie. Interesting move. We'll see how it turns out, especially given that Schumacher and Lawson were both considered to be options, but they both had issues associated with each of them. For Schumacher, I know he was currently connected with WEC World Endurance Championship, and there would have been a scheduling clash with at least one or two races, and that would have definitely been an issue. So Williams may have been forced to buy him out from that WEC contract, or they would have had to substitute someone else in for those specific races. For Lawson, I think Red Bull were happy to let him race for Williams, but they wanted to have some kind of mechanism where if something happened to Tsunoda or Ricciardo, they would be able to bring Lawson in, and of course Williams were not too keen on that. So we end up in the situation where we're in, where Sargeant's basically been dropped immediately and he's been replaced by Franco Colapinto. Definitely a bit of a rough goodbye for Sargeant. We knew he was on his way out the door at the end of the year anyway, but I guess the free practice 3 crash at Zandvoort was the last straw, and they decided to replace him with another academy driver. An interesting prospect, I have to say. I've been watching him this year in Formula 2. Haven't watched him before this season, but he does have a pretty interesting story. So let's go over that now. So 2021, I remember this because this was in the news quite a bit. And he was competing in FREC, so Formula Regional European Championship, so the level just below Formula 3. And what was notable about that season was that he really was struggling for funding at this point in his career, didn't have the biggest pockets, so has never really been able to be in the strongest teams, which is something that you'll notice when you look at the teams that he's raced for. He's never raced for like a ART or a Prema. But in that FREC campaign, 16 races, 2 wins, 4 podiums, 3 pole positions, 140 points, and 6 in the championship driving for MP Motorsport. FREC, it's a series where if you're not driving a Prema, very, very difficult to win that championship. So again, that 6th place is not entirely representative of his talent level. 2022, he goes into Formula 3, 18 races, 2 wins, 5 podiums, 1 pole position, 76 points, 9th in the championship. And again, that's driving for VAR, Van Amersfoort Racing, again, one of the weaker teams in the series. So that 9th place is still a pretty good result. For example, if you go back to the 2020 F3 season, you'll notice that a certain young Japanese driver by the name of Yuki Tsunoda got a, I believe, 9th or 10th place finish in the standings that year driving a Genza, and he of course turned out pretty good. 2023 F3 again, so he stayed in F3 again, but this time with MP Motorsports. And again, it was something that we knew about in advance, but basically he had signed a 2-year contract with MP Motorsports, the first year in F3, and the second year with basically a guarantee he would be driving in F2 with the same team. And that's exactly what we've seen. So 2023, 18 races, 2 wins, 5 podiums, no pole positions, but 110 points and 4th in the championship in an MP. So again, not a Prema, not a Trident, not one of the stronger cars in F3, but still a really good result. So he gets promotion to F2 this year, and in 16 races so far, of course, he won't be racing any further because you're not allowed to race in F2 and F1 at the same time. 1 win, 3 podiums, no poles, 92 points, and 5th in the championship, again driving for MP Motorsports. F2 has been very, very strange this year. Prema has been very, very weak. High-Tech's been pretty strong. MP's also been pretty decent. So again, it's kind of hard. It's much harder to judge the order, kind of pecking order of the cars themselves. But that being said, for Colapinto, he's done pretty well for himself, 5th through the opening 16 races. I believe among rookies, he's 3rd, just behind Aaron and Bortoleto. So again, doing pretty well for himself, but again, this is the similar resume that Logan Sargeant had when he came into F1. He of course, came 4th in his rookie season, F2, and then got that promotion to Williams. Of course, they said it was a year too early, but again, we've had a year and a half, pretty much, of Logan Sargeant in F1, and he hasn't really ever kind of reached the potential that you would think a driver who who getting fourth in their rookie season F2 would warrant. And again, that's something that I can look at in a bit later in a later video, kind of specifically looking at Sargeant's F1 career now that we know this is kind of, we have a bookend to it. But yeah, interesting move by Williams. We'll see how it pays off. I don't expect Colapinto to do, fantastic. I think we've seen in the past rookies coming in mid-season, it can be pretty tough. Even for really good drivers, Daniel Ricciardo, Esteban Ocon, they both came in mid-season, 2011, 2016 respectively for the two of them. And again, their results were definitely much worse than you would expect looking at their later career. So for Colapinto, I expect it to be pretty tough. If he can do similar to what Lawson did last year, I think he'll do wonders for his chances for a full-time F1 seat in the future. Again, the other added wrinkle to this is that Williams have already signed Carlos Sainz for 2025. So they're really already set for 2025. So for Colapinto, this isn't an audition for next year, this is an audition for 2026. Since realistically he wouldn't really have anywhere to go in for 2025, and he'll probably go back to F2 for the full season. But that being said, you never know what can happen in the future. And for Colapinto, who just needs to make the best of this opportunity, impress people in the paddock, impress Williams, and if things all line up in the future, we'll see him back again full time very soon. But there you go. There's my video talking about Logan Sargeant being dropped. Again, I'm not really surprised. I'm actually surprised they didn't drop him over the summer break, because that was kind of the rumor for quite a while now. And yeah, again, I don't really, obviously on a personal level, it's tough to see a driver dropped mid-season. And again, he's probably, gutted right now. But, from a pure results perspective, and again, F1 is very much a results-driven sport. He simply wasn't delivering, never out-qualified Albon in a qualifying session, got 1 point, and that was because Leclerc and Hamilton both got disqualified. So yeah, never really showed the results and didn't really show a whole lot of improvement in his second season. So again, that's kind of what happens in F1 when you don't improve much. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.